Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman from Hire It Done. Welcome to the podcast. Today I've got a really special guest on the podcast that does design build. What is design build? Well, they design and they build. It's called One Source Accountability. So if you're thinking of getting an architect for your big renovation, you don't need one. We have a design build contractor. Her name is Veronica Simmons, and the company name is Simmons & Co. Design. She'll be on the podcast coming up next. Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman from Hire It Done. Welcome to the podcast. You know, a lot of homeowners, they need a professional to help them when they're building an addition, when they're doing a bathroom, but they really need help in the design portion, not just functionality. So how do you know if your contractor or design build company that you want to work with, how do you know they know design? Do they take classes? Are they educated in it? Is it part of their repertoire? Or do they just be like, we're the builder, you have to find your own colors, you pick your own thing? Like, it gets anxiety inducing. So how do you find it? Well, guess what? At Hire It Done, we have you covered because we have companies that are design build companies. They design the project, they build the project, and both of those together gives you the design build contractor. And what's great about that is the owners typically, or the designers, they're trained color matching, what works, what doesn't work. We'll call it ergonomics, kind of like in your car sometimes, trends, which is everlasting, and things like that. And as a homeowner, are you supposed to know all that? Well, when you come to Hire It Done and you find great contractors, we look for that. We not only do we look for contractors who build great jobs, we look for contractors that are solution-minded, as you know, but we also want ones that keep their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry, what's popular, what's not. I mean, white cabinets, shaker, gray islands. I mean, we've seen that in HGTV since, 2010. What's really the trends? So today we've got a great, and I mean great, design build contractor, Veronica Simmons from Simmons & Co. Design. Welcome to the podcast, Veronica.
What's up, Adam?
Thanks for coming on. So let's get right into this, because all our viewers and listeners, they want to know, about Simmons & Co. Let's give them a little bit of a history about you, and then let's talk about right into High Point.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks for having me on. And yeah, at Simmons Co. Design, we're all things residential. We do tons of commercial work. And really what makes us special is we're kind of like design build plus, because not only are we doing material selections, doing the execution of the design, but we get all the way into furnishings, lighting, textiles, all the soft good, case goods. So really from concept to completion down to the last toilet paper holder being placed to the last pillow on the sofa, we're really thinking about all this from jump and making sure that we get you all the way through to the end. And that's what our clients love is, one-stop shop, holistic design, because we want to make sure the pillows match the wainscoting. We want to make sure that, the paint color is coordinated with the area rug. And we want to know all that, from jump.
So basically turnkey.
There you go.
Which is, a lot of homeowners, that's from soup to nuts, A to Z. That's a real over the finish line. Most contractors will take the job right to painting, or will paint it for the homeowner, and then all the furnishings and everything else is up to them. And then 30, 45 days later, a contractor comes back and does all the touch-ups from all the dinging of all the furniture. Right. So you actually you hold the homeowner's hand from A to Z. I really like that. And if you're a homeowner out there looking for a contractor that will take you across the finish line with actual placement of the furniture, design of the furniture, color coordination, from hanging pictures, fabric on pillows, to coordinating that to everything in the house, Veronica's trained and doing all that, which leads you to also, because you either lead, you follow, or get out of the way. One of the things I liked about you when I first met you was that you're a leader. You take the proactive approach and you're like, this is what's going on. This is what people need to know. And I'm like, I remember you were telling me, and I'm like, well, tell me, how do you know all this? And you're like, well, we just, came back from High Point. I'm like, oh my God, stop right there. Let's talk about it on the podcast. So Tell everyone, what is High Point, and give us a quick synopsis of what you saw while you were there.
Sure. So High Point Furniture Market is in North Carolina, and Happens twice a year. We typically at our office go in October for fall market. And it's awesome where it's an opportunity where all designers, decorators, anybody in the home industry or design industry go to kind of, like you said, put your finger on the pulse to see kind of what's happening, what's coming up, what should we be using, what things are kind of fading out, to make sure that what we're doing in our firm is relevant. We try to say we don't do a ton of trendy spaces. Most of our clientele likes spaces that are classic, that are going to last them. But it's important to understand, what's coming in, what's fresh. So that's what we get an opportunity to do in High Point. It's essentially like an explosion of all of our suppliers together that bring all of their new collections, all of their current collections, anything that they may be testing to get input from the field for, hey, we're thinking about this, we're thinking about that. What do you guys think? We get all that feedback and all that information at High Point. So it's awesome.
So in High Point, is it over a couple of weekends? Is it a weekend show? How long is the show?
Yeah, it's about a week. We typically go for 3 or 4 days, depending on how many showrooms we want to see. It's furnishings, case goods, lighting, area rugs, textiles, all of that stuff. So depending on how many showrooms we want to get in the mix, kind of depends on how long we stay. But, we get an opportunity to see our current suppliers, things that we have, but also get an opportunity to try to look at some new things that we want to bring in based off of some of the projects that we may have in the queue, new suppliers that we want to bring into the mix as well.
Is there anything from High Point trip this year that stuck out that you said, oh my God, this is going to be all the rage, like this is it? Or is there a handful of things? Or let me hear, like, for the audience, what it is.
Well, funny you ask, because there are a few things. One of the big things that we saw were curves. We saw curves on everything. All the lines are softening. So whether it's channeling, a lot of channeling in upholstery, like channel backs, a lot of fluting and arches on case goods. So think of that media cabinet that you have underneath your TV that's nice and streamlined. What we're seeing now is those edges being softened. We're seeing detailing on the front. So just more curvature, which kind of flows. I mean, most of these trends that I'm going to tell you about really all flow back to this kind of organic feel that people are really moving towards, which is, kind of bringing the outdoors in. Things are becoming more simple, more natural, just kind of free flowing. Instead of these sharper contrasts, we're seeing more muted tones. So like clay, sage, Sienna, those type of muted colors we're seeing. But green is still hot. I did a trim report last year talking about green and being curious. We actually did a phenomenal green kitchen in Commerce Township I think it was last year. And green is still hot. We're still seeing it in the marketplace. We weren't sure how long it was going to be around, but whether it's bright green, whether it's soft green, we're still seeing a lot of that in the marketplace.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I just want to ask you real quick, because I remember last year I was renovating a bathroom, and it was an old house, and the tile was a pistachio color. And I'm like, listen, if we clean the grout and give this bathroom a nice scrub, I bet we'll catch that trend. Because
there you go.
And you know what?
You're catching it. Yep, you're
catching the problem. I'll be straight up honest. It was for the homeowner. The homeowner decided to take it out, and they would put white subway tile because they saw it on HGTV.
I know.
But if we could have done a pistachio,
it's so safe.
It's keyword safe. You're 100% right. Well, I love the fact that it's green. Now, do you have customers when you say to them, "Hey, look, green is the rage," and if we use green here, or a variation of it, do you have customers that want to take the chance, or do they get like the safe? They get all nervous, like, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because, I think it's inevitable. We all have clients that, want to keep it safe. I think that sometimes safe reads for some people as classic, or classic reads as safe.
Sure.
We always try to push the limits, though. We think if somebody's hiring us, they're hiring us to do something that they wouldn't do themselves. So, we view our job, as to show them things. I think it's always interesting. Clients that come in who want color will tell you at the first appointment, we want color. And so it's exciting, right? It's exciting to get those clients.
I love that.
Yeah, who like the color.
I like when you want to make a statement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are rooms in houses, people are like, okay, we want to do a great kitchen, but we're chefs, we're cooks. We want a functional kitchen. Right. I want a kitchen because I have 5 kids and I got to make sure that I have a countertop and I've got a place for an eating station for the kids to go crazy. And then there are people who like, I want a kitchen that when I entertain once or twice a year, that everyone walks in and is like, whoa, but we eat out all the time. There's those types of people.
Yeah.
But I will say this, from my experience, and maybe it's changed since then, but there are people who like to be safe, but then they take one room in their house. Maybe it's the dining room, and they do a wall with fabric and then an accenting wall that may have a sharper color. Are you seeing that same trend or?
Yeah, I definitely think there are spaces, in particular, when we're doing a whole home for somebody, I think they do find spaces that they feel they can be a little bit more bold in, right?
Sure.
And we always are able to enjoy that, whether that's kind of like off of the foyer, like you said, the dining room, something entry that maybe they're not spending time in every single day, but it's more of a what we call a looker room. You want to catch guests as you're walking past. Let's throw a cool wallpaper up, let's stripe it, let's give a banging chandelier, let's do something that is really unexpected,
But give it some panache. I like that. So are there any rooms in the house that you're seeing bubble up to like more popularity, like maybe even like a garage or a man cave or a study room or multi-purpose, taking the dining room, knocking out the wall from the dining room and extending the kitchen?
Yeah.
Are you seeing anything in those variations?
Nobody wants a dining room anymore. If the dining room is connected to the kitchen, I feel like 9 times out of 10, we're tearing the walls down and expanding the kitchen into the dining room. Just functionality, the way people live today is everybody wants to be in the kitchen, and you'd rather have a banging kitchen. The 2-island kitchen is, really popular now. So why not get rid of the dining room?
Tell me more about a 2-island kitchen.
Yeah. So you have that kind of double step in the kitchen where you have your main island is kind of like your workspace island. So that's got your sink in it, your dishwasher, all of that stuff. And that's could be near the oven, cooktop area. And then you have that secondary island that may have an additional bar sink in it or something, a prep sink. But that usually then is where the island seating is at. So you have that kind of functional island, workspace island, and then you have that secondary island where your actual bar stools or counter stools are, where people can entertain. So it kind of gives you 2 spots to kind of float around. And if you're entertaining, guys may be over here, girls may be over here, kids may be in one spot, moms may be in the other. So it just makes it more functional.
I want to get back to the dining room being out.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you. If I think back in my childhood growing up, my mom, my dad was in home improvement.
Sure.
He was out selling dormers and additions, kitchens and baths. And in the evening, my mom was making us dinner. But I remember doing my homework in the dining room table.
Yeah.
I remember doing that all the time. But, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and maybe Easter, 3 times a year, we had maybe a birthday dinner or something. That was it.
It was literally it.
And there was always a pile. We always had a mound of bills, paperwork, homework on the dining room table, right? I mean, that's what it is. It
also became the coat rack too, you had guests over, the dining table became the throw your coat on the dining table.
It's so funny, the coat rack. My coat racks in my house, just so you know, Veronica, not to digress, is the dining room chairs, and you ready? My treadmill.
Oh, there you go.
I use the treadmill to hang clothes.
That's right.
I don't know why, but and I think I'm not the only one, by the way. So making the statement that dining rooms are out is bold. Yeah. And I 100% subscribe to that. And I agree. And I'm glad you said it as a contractor. And for everyone out there, for all homeowners right now, I just want you to know it's the truth. So why not, if you're going to do a new kitchen, why not integrate your dining room? And why not figure out how to make the space better? Because when you do that, guess what? Functionality, value. When a homeowner is trying to buy a house, I promise you, on a new house, if you're selling your house and you don't have a dining room, don't think like, oh, we don't have a tub, it'll never sell. Don't think that. Okay. People come into the house and they look and they're like, yeah, this is the kind of house I want. And creating a dining room after the fact or putting it back is not a problem. Veronica, anything can be done today, right?
Anything. Creativity, we're not short on it here. Creativity is, part of the game. You hire the right people, you get the right projects, you get the right results.
How important, let me ask you this, when it's finding a contractor, and I must say I'm most impressed with you and your company. What is the contractor looking for in a homeowner? Like what ideal trait would you say the perfect homeowner for me would be this?
Sure. I think somebody looking for holistic, somebody who's not looking at each individual piece as its own piece, but, looking at the project as a whole. Somebody who is thinking about when I walk in, how do I want to feel? What do I want to see? And communicating, who's able to communicate those ideas. We're also looking for, people who are, I want to say, decisive in a way of not that they don't want to see options, because our job is to show options, but people who are able to trust somebody else to be able to execute the space. And I know that makes some people uncomfortable, and design build generally probably is not the right fit for those type clients. If you're trying to kind of micromanage every aspect of it, you're not going to get the full, Monty of what design build can really do for you, because there's all these memes going around. It's like when one thing changes, the whole thing starts to like unravel.
It's probably, it's a domino effect. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And with the internet, with Google, with all the new ways to buy, it can create anxiety.
Yes.
I call it information overload. There are some homeowners who just say, all right, you're going to be like, all right, we're going to pick a fabric to match this. Let's look at the color palette. And then for whatever reason, they end up Googling it. And then all of a sudden there's so many decisions that it all of a sudden triggers, in their brain, like, oh boy, I better slow down. I better take a break, and they like get all crazy. Or you go on Pinterest and you type in, cool podcast studios or, really cool man cave. And the next thing you know, you're like, whoa, I got way too many choices. So it's your job as the design build expert to navigate, hold the homeowner's hand, and like you said, take them across the finish line, turnkey, A to Z, to Mrs. Jones, this is the colors that go with this. This is what I recommend. And I promise, based on our meetings, you're going to love it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, essentially. Yep. That's the goal. And the more people are able to, from the beginning, communicate what they're trying to execute, it's like, I don't want to say easy, but, we're pretty good at it. We're good listeners. We're good executors as far as giving them what it is that they're trying to achieve.
Which makes perfect sense. Let me ask, as we're talking about renovating homes and kitchens and baths and room additions and man caves, next year, 2026, since we're getting towards the end of the year, do you have any predictions for popular projects or, like the last frontier? I'd love to hear your opinion. So,
honestly, I anticipate we're going to be doing more outdoor spaces. I think that the trend is flowing that, post-COVID, obviously everybody's spending more time at home. And I think that, we've seen people do home renovation projects, and I think that will continue. We kind of saw a surge of kitchen remodels and just home office remodels and doing things to impact how they're spending more time at home. I think now we're going to see that kind of matriculate into the exterior. It's like, all right, we got our kitchen done, we got this. Now we want to be able to expand that to more outdoor seating. We want outdoor TVs. We want outdoor sound. We want the experience to be in and out. When we're entertaining, we want to see that connection of people are in the kitchen, people are on the deck, people are on the patio, people are everywhere, but they're all sharing in that same experience. So you don't want to go outside and it be, meh.
That's a great point. So the migration from indoors to outdoors, but that transition is less of a open the door wall, walk out, and it's a separate space. It's more of a, we'll call it, using your terms, a holistic staycation.
There you go. Yep.
And that way we can tie in designs. We can take from the inside of the house and carry the designs outside.
Yep.
There's a lot that can happen. Me, I love barbecuing. So for me, I have a pizza oven. I have an outdoor pizza oven. I want to do, that whole thing. And so you're speaking my language.
There we go. Yeah.
And I have a stressful day from work. And so do a lot of people. They come home. They want to take a deep breath. Yeah. Zen, right?
Yep.
Chill on the back porch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just feel like you're in a space that's safe.
Yep.
That gives you the energy or the holistic feeling where this is my house.
Yep.
I agree with that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In Michigan, we only have so many months, of wonderful weather, but maximizing on that, I think people are, really concerned with, when the weather starts to get nice is I want to be able to be outside. I want to utilize what I have. And, there are things that we can do with exterior screens and everything like that to kind of take you into the winter months while you're still able to utilize outside with the fire going and keep some heat inside to be able to move into November and December and still be able to enjoy outside.
Great point. Great point. So if a homeowner's thinking of doing a kitchen, they're thinking of doing just redecorating the inside of their house where they're not adding square footage, but maybe taking a wall out, or they need advice.
Yep.
Can they call Simmons & Co. Design?
Absolutely.
And you guys can make an appointment for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love to get started on projects early, so sometimes if you're not going to be ready till 2026, but you're thinking about it now, frankly, now we're only doing 2026 projects. So, now is that, but if you're saying, I want to kind of like see what the options are, we may not be ready right now. Give us a call. We want to talk through it because some of it is just prep and just making sure to know what you're preparing yourself for, understanding budgetary restraints and where you are with that. Do you need another year to save up for what you want to do? That's perfectly fine. Let's be on the same page and kind of work our way through it.
So if you're thinking of getting a room addition or a major project, you better start now, friends, in the fourth quarter of 2025, and your project will get commenced in 2026. That's the reality of everything right now.
No more spaces for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Wait a minute. You won't finish the kitchen before Thanksgiving?
No more spaces.
Maybe by 2026.
We're still getting those calls. It's a no.
I bet you are. Oh, I believe it. It happens. So let me ask you this, because I don't deal with this a lot, but I've recently had a question about it. I had a homeowner call me up and say, Adam, we're thinking about doing a major renovation. What architect do you recommend? That's what they said to me. And I'm like, you want to find a design build contractor.
Right.
Do you get that question often where people are like, oh, well, we're going to meet with architects, and you can be like, well, to be honest with you, we do the architectural plans in-house, one source accountability.
Sure.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, sometimes we get it. We have various architects that we will work with for certain things when we need to. Obviously, if somebody's doing something as far as a super major addition, they may have an architect first that then comes to us. We have a couple of architects that send their clients our way after they've done the design plans. And then we come in and take it over from there. So it's not necessarily an issue for us working with architects. We find most architects, I don't want to say most, but the architects that we work with are not interested in material selections or interested in execution. It's like they want to deal with the structure of how much square footage does the client want to add on, or how does this, how are we going to tie all of this in? And we're happy to take the project on from them at that spot. So it's I still think it's a team.
It has to be.
relationship,
Right, of
that
course.
you're connecting with, architect, design, build. When clients try to connect trades together that don't know each other or that don't work
Correct.
well together, it really sometimes can create, not that anybody's bad, it just creates, there's a flow in a project, and you have communications half the battle. So you have to speak the same language.
And if the flow does get interrupted, that becomes an issue and a headache. And it goes back to what I've always been saying. And you, as a homeowner thinking of hiring a contractor, design build, someone with design expertise like Veronica, the key and the nucleus of the entire process is communication.
Period.
Would you agree?
Yep.
Right?
Period. I mean, that's period. It's not,
and
it's so simple, but it is
easier
so
said than done. Very challenging, correct?
Yes.
Right. So the point is, and why I say that, friends, is because when you have a good architect, and you have a good designer, and then you have a good contractor, and then you have a homeowner, that's 4 people, right? Somebody needs to rise to the top and be the leader, the charismatic person that can tie everyone together. In my opinion, it should be the contractor.
Correct.
Homeowner's always the one with the golden rule, they rule, but there's got to be a general, someone in charge. And I would say it's the contractor. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah, there's got to be somebody looking out for the best interest of everyone. And that's the GC, that's the contractor, is making sure that not only is that communication between all the sources great, everybody's communicating to the GC, but that the information that they're sharing aligns with what the customer wants. So, somebody has to be thinking about the end product at all times. And unfortunately, as trades workers, everybody's doing their own thing. A lot of people get laser tunnel, they're focusing on the thing at hand. But if the thing at hand, if it's not gonna produce what we're trying to produce at the end, it's almost irrelevant. It's like we have to make sure that what we're doing right now is gonna produce where we're trying to go. If it's not, we gotta adjust.
What you said, and by the way, for everyone out there listening, the advice and the comments that you're hearing right now are PhD level, okay? You need to find a contractor like this because the domino effect. When something in the beginning of the job is done this way, only the sharpest and the most experienced contractors will know that 30 steps down the road, what they did today is going to impact that.
Yeah.
Does and she said, laser focus. Some people have blinders on. They're only worried about today. Well, the contractor has to open those blinds up, and they have to know that what I'm doing today impacts the end of the job, impacts 2 years from now as the homeowner is enjoying this.
Right.
I don't want it to last that long. I want it to last forever. So while I appreciate that,
Adam,
talk that way.
You were on a project now. We have electrician did the work up to code, looks great, but there's some stuff that's not symmetrical, right? And so we got to figure that out now. We're gonna have to put some J boxes in. We have to do some things to make sure that the aesthetic at the end is where we're trying to get to. It's not about everybody's doing their job and doing their job well, but somebody has to be thinking about where we're trying to get to, because it's not really the electrician's job to think about where we're trying to get to. It's not really almost even the homeowner's job to think about where we're trying to get to. It's my job. It's the contractor's job to understand, now this is a backsplash, we have a center line, we're gonna need to make sure this gets shifted, or we've got a cabinet, this has got to be over here, this junction box has got to get cut inside this cabinet so we can make sure we can run stuff where we want it to go. So you just need somebody versed in that. It's like
interesting.
Somebody's got to figure it out.
I want to elaborate on what you just said, because this is why this is such a great conversation, you and I. And I respect you so much, and I enjoy this because it's when I talk to contractors on a regular basis, when you get to the finest levels, it becomes a comfortable conversation for everyone out there. And people who are thinking of hiring a contractor, this is the benchmark, what you need to look for. So let's use electrical as an example.
Sure.
Homeowner had the blueprint show in the kitchen, 6 recessed lights, 2, 4, 6, spaced equidistantly.
Yep.
There's a floor above, that kitchen ceiling, and there's a bathroom above there. Well, guess what? The toilet drain comes across a joist, and it just happens to land right where a recessed light was. So the electrician's like, oh, well, I'll just go over 6 inches so it fits right. It's not symmetrical now. He puts it in, drywall gets done, electrical rough is complete, but then you look at the ceiling and wait a minute, this one's off 6 inches. Project manager, the contractor, in my opinion, should be responsible, making sure the homeowner doesn't have the experience of it.
Right.
It was in the plans, but plans that's your plan. You plan on doing it this way. The roadmap says this, but sometimes there's a pothole. Sometimes you got to go around it. So now the good contractor will catch it. Because listen, everything gets through the cracks. It always does, no matter how great you are. You'll catch it. You prescribe the fix. Mrs. Jones, look, I caught this. Here's what we're going to be doing to change this. However, I want to let you know this is why we do this. And that validates to the homeowner. Oh my God, I would have never known that. And what would have happened in a year from now when the homeowner's sitting and entertaining, people are over, they're drinking wine and champagne, and one of the guys says, "Oh, you had them do your kitchen? Well, why is that light off center?" People love you're a guest. They love to bring up that. They're like, who did that? Who was the contractor?
I know.
Did you pay extra for that curve?
For us, it's like we call it discovery, and it is really important. The plans are one thing, but when you open up walls, the plans change. I mean, it's almost like 100% of the time the plans change. You don't have extra vision? You cannot just give the plan and say, here you go. In remodeling, and almost in new construction, it doesn't really even work out that way too. There are just variables that change. And so you have to have somebody who's capable of making those adjustments. So that means the timing is important. You need, a real contractor looks at stuff before drywall. One that has experience in renovation. If you're a new home builder and you build 200 homes a year, that's great. I love you. Good for you. However, I dare you to build a room addition from a house built in 1978 that has a curved back wall that's not even straight. The footings are off and the house is settled. I want to see you build an addition as good as a design build contractor. Not happening. Right? It's rough. There are lots of things. And I think it's just having the one experience. I wasn't like this year one. I had to learn and, do some things to figure out like, oh, okay, I need to look for that. Our job is to execute. And we take that very seriously. We take it seriously. We want symmetry. We want aesthetic. We want function, obviously, but we want to make sure that when we look at these details at the end, that, we're where we need to be.
Are kitchens and baths still the most popular projects for houses? Always.
Period. It's the biggest. And people are still shocked at, how much money they have to put into kitchens and baths, but it kind of, just is what it is. It's not getting any less expensive. I tell clients, I don't know what you're waiting on because it's not going down. It's only going to go up.
Right.
Labor's more expensive. There are all these features that just cost more, but you get the biggest bang for your buck in those spaces too. And like you said, when you're selling your home, that's what people look at. They come in and they're like, I love this kitchen, I love this bath. I can see myself in this, so it's the thing, but you have to be ready for your marriage counseling. You have to be ready for all the things that go into your house being ripped up for some time. You got to be ready. You got to be ready for it.
Have you ever thought about hiring on an hourly basis, part-time basis, a therapist for contractors or for homeowners? Mrs. Homeowner, part of the job includes 6 hours of a therapist. You can call it your leisure. Just don't call after hours.
It's the premium package. It's not a bad idea. We should have somebody on call in theory for whatever, when things go, on call.
That happens.
If you're a therapist out there listening, call me.
You know what? Maybe we're onto something. You never know. What about like you said, the pricing? Is an average 3-piece bath where a tub, vanity, and a toilet, gut it to the studs and re-put with all new tile, all new fixtures, toilet, vanity, tub, shower head. Are we talking 30 grand on average today? Or are we talking more or less? What are we thinking?
I think probably we're, from a design build aspect, we're probably talking minimum 30, 40.
Okay.
I think it can get higher, but if we're talking, guest bath, kids bath, I think we're probably talking that 30, 40. Once we get into primary baths, if we're talking floating tubs and shower heads, body sprays, rain showers, double
Heated
vanity,
floors.
yeah, heated floors, all this stuff, we're at 80, 90, 100K. I mean, it gets up there really quick. And there's just a lot of components in, wanting to, pull that space together correctly.
Always.
Yep.
Jack and Jill bathrooms.
Ooh.
Back in the day when I grew up, I had one.
Yeah.
Is there a new modern version of that? Are they popular again, or is it easier to just do two separate little baths for the bedrooms that side by side? What are your thoughts?
So it is a good question. I mean, because we mainly do a lot of remodeling, we're hoping to get into some new build stuff in the next year or two.
Oh, cool.
I think in new construction, the Jack and Jill is gone.
Right.
And I think, maybe periodically we see it, but I think everything from new construction, a lot of it is every room just having their own bath.
Right.
Trying not
less
to
is more, but it works.
Yeah. So, I think that from a remodeling aspect, it is tricky sometimes to figure out a footprint that works for how the Jack and Jill was designed to kind of execute two different baths off of that. We're seeing trying to create that shared toilet space, but separate vanities or shared toilet and shower.
Yes, right.
But separate,
some sort of privacy, but still have shared.
Right. So
balance.
It's tricky, but yeah, it's one of those things where that was the rage back in the 90s. That's what the 80s, 90s, all these Jack and Jill's baths were built. So, we can still kick it up a notch.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. This is great advice, and I really appreciate it. We're speaking with Veronica Simmons from Simmons & Co. Design. Veronica, tell the audience exactly how they can get a hold of you, website, phone number, email, all that stuff.
Awesome. So the website's a great way to get a hold of us. It is just simmonscodesign.com. That's simmonscodesign.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at that same handle. Our phone number is 248-596-0300. And if you find us one way, we'll find you back. So, feel free to connect with us any way that's easiest for you.
And also, you can visit hireitdone.com, click on the Simmons & Co. Design logo, and it goes right to them. So you'll get it real well. So if you want a kitchen, a bath, design build, man cave, holistic staycation, inside out, A to Z, turnkey, you found your contractor. 2026 is going to be a great year. Veronica, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Awesome.
And fantastic information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam.
Of course.
Hireitdone.com.